Good, it's healthy. Hi guys, we're continuing with the Aztec interdisciplinary material. We're at the section of my notes of the science section. So we have reached the section about physical laws, which are the rules and the properties of energy and matter, of particles and parts making up the world, and how and why these physical laws work in specific patterns. We touched on Isaac Newton's law, which is the law that an object that um, is in motion or has inertia will remain in motion, and an object that is at rest will remain at rest unless acted upon by an external force. Also, acceleration is produced when a force is acted on a mass, and also that an action acting on the mass will produce an equal and opposite reaction. That's Isaac Newton's laws about objects in motion and inertia and force acting on masses, creating acceleration, and that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. And also we learned force equals mass times acceleration, or F equals ma. Force changes the motion of an object, which is the speed of its movement, and it can change its direction as well. So the mass is the amount of matter in an object. The weight is the force of an object due to gravity. Density is how much mass an object contains in a three-dimensional area, depending on its size. Gravitational force is the idea that two objects in the universe attract each other. Magnetic force is the idea that two electrically charged particles attract or repel. Speed versus velocity is the difference is speed does not consider direction, that an object is moving, just how fast it is moving or going. And the velocity is considering its direction as well. So it describes how fast an object moves or its rate of change in as it moves. An atom is the smallest unit defining a chemical element. An element is a material that cannot be broken down into two different types of atoms. When you have two or more atoms of the same element, these are called molecules. For example, you could have a molecule of caffeine, which is a combination of the elements hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen, which and when you have a combination of different atoms, this is called a compound substance, or different elements, excuse me. So when you have a compound substance, this contains different two or more elements. Okay, and again, the molecule is a combination of two or more atoms. They may be of the same element or may be different elements. Excuse me, that was wrong. When you have the same element, it is a molecule. When you have different elements, it is a compound substance. I don't know why, that must be a typo. So if you have different kinds of elements, these are a combination of different molecules, and this is called a compound substance. Okay, so in an atom, you have a nucleus. A nucleus is a group of particles at the center of an atom. The nucleus contains the following: protons, which are positively charged particles; neutrons, which are have no charge or neutral; and then outside the nucleus, you have electrons, which are negatively charged particles orbiting the nucleus. So, all in all, this was the science section in a nutshell. Now we're going to move on to the next section. So, the next section is mathematics. Yay. Woohoo. Let's cheer. Woohoo. Okay, there are 6 branches of mathematics. So, these are arithmetic, and then algebra, statistics, trigonometry, geometry. Was that 6? Okay, well, we'll see. Okay, so the first section is arithmetic. This contains 4 different operations. Operation is a way of using 2 numbers to produce a third number. An equation is a written statement showing that 2 sides are equal. So the 2 sides are separated by an equal sign. Some equations use symbols also and are a little more complicated. So the 4 operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Addition adds 2 numbers together. Result is a thing called a sum. Subtraction takes away one number from another. The result is called a difference. Multiplication multiplies 2 numbers by each other. The result is the product. The numbers you multiply to get the product are called the factors. So the numbers you multiply to get a certain number are called factors. Then a multiple of a number is what you get from multiplying a number by a sequence of numbers. For example, that number times 1, times 2, times 3, times 4, etc. So, for example, for the number 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, 72, and 80 are multiples of 8. So you just multiply that number by a sequence of numbers. In division, you divide one number by another number. The result of a division equation is called a quotient. The number divided is the dividend, and the number that you are dividing by is the divisor. So if you divide 8 divided by 2, 8 is the dividend and 2 is the divisor. And the equals 4 would be the quotient, the result. So dividend, divisor, and quotient. And then if you have a leftover number after you do a division, this is called the remainder. Even numbers can be divided by the number 2. For example, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Integers are whole numbers or counting numbers. These are
on the whisper
okay.
Speed, when you count
Once again, integers are any number a counting number, and they can be positive or negative or zero, but counting numbers are only positive. We're going to continue in the next